You're listening to The Bird Bath. Welcome back to The Bird Bath. Each week we scrape the surface of the news you need to know, so let's get into it. Kicking us off this week was a story that we're doing a little bit of digging on, and it was actually brought to us by quite a few of our listeners, as well as people within the company looking to get some word out here. BondVet is hitting on a little bit of troubles around their new clinics. Recently, they've closed at least 5 locations in the Atlanta and Connecticut regions. They closed all 3 practices across Atlanta, as well as 2 additional practices in Connecticut. I reached out to try and, see exactly what was going on and what's going on there with those locations, but was unable to get any direct responses back, either from folks from within those clinics or people within the Bond organization. Now, it's not just a clinic's opening and closing. They've also done some changes at their high-level leadership team. They've removed their CEO, Garrett Lewis, from their leadership page, and multiple sources from within BondVet are telling us that he's been replaced by the CFO, Joseph Altobelli. Along with Lewis's departure, other senior leadership has chosen to step away from the business. Again, we reached out to BondVet to try and get some more context on exactly what's going on, if this was something the leadership changes coincide with the practice changes, or if these things were just coincidental. They declined to comment on the story, but we really wanted to look at understanding what's going on here. Bond was on a rapid growth trajectory over the past few years and has been expanding all over the country. But grumblings across the industry have sort of said that things might not all be peachy keen, and especially not peachy in Atlanta. But great news is not all is lost. Bond is making some incredible changes and adjustments to try and refresh the things that they're doing within their organization. So Bond is looking to embrace those new doctors that they have by doing a significant expansion of their MAID program. MAID stands for Mentorship, Advancement, Development, and Education. It's their new graduate program, and they've partnered with ReadyVetGo. New grads that work for Bond will get a 6-month race-approved mentorship, as well as sessions with a veterinary financial planner and a membership to the veterinary well-being buddy. It's a cool way for them to try and step up and bring their new graduates to a new level of skill set. I know people that go through the ReadyVetGo program, as well as people that work with Melissa at Veterinary Wellbeing Buddy, always have rave reviews. So really excited to see that despite some turmoil around the business, they are still putting that investment into making sure that their new grads are supported and taken care of. This story is still developing. If you were impacted by any of these changes, or if you're within the Bond organization and do want to make a comment, please reach out to us. We've sent in our formal requests, but to no avail, and are always looking to make sure that we get the most rounded and full story possible for people in the industry. Now, there are some new standards of care and some new guides for people to be able to increase the quality of care that they can provide. First off, the World Small Animal Veterinary Association has released the Principles of Wellness Toolkit. It's a comprehensive resource that they've put together for veterinary professionals to share with clients to help them best care for and meet the needs of their pets. The guide has sections on primary care, nutrition, dermatology, parasite control, vaccination, and welfare. In each one of these sections, there's a definition of each term and the goal of the essential area provided. According to the guide, the principles of wellness are most valuable when used by a caregiver and a veterinary professional working as a team. I'm going to make sure I put the link to it here. It's about a 20-page guide that you can put in the hands of clients as well as veterinary professionals across the industry to sort of find a way for everyone to be speaking the same language and work towards wellness as opposed to just reactive care. Let's be proactive as a way to be able to increase the quality of care as well as decrease a lot of the headaches, the expenses, and some of the difficulties that we're seeing across the industry. Another group that's putting out a new standard of care is the Open Door Veterinary Collective, along with the American Heartworm Society. They've launched a spectrum of care approach to canine heartworm disease. It's a 1 CE hour race-approved course with 5 mini learnings that come up to that full hour of education. The modules in here explore a range of evidence-based strategies to prevent, diagnose, and treat canine heartworm disease using a spectrum of care approach. If you're not familiar with Open Door Veterinary Collective, the goal of the nonprofit is to actually find ways to be able to increase the access of care, and that term has such broad-reaching pause, maybe we'll use that word, but it's extremely broad-reaching. But the idea here is that by looking at spectrum of care, we can find a way to meet pet parents where they can get that care. So the goal of the spectrum of care approach to canine heartworm disease course is to allow people to be able to understand that it's more than just a turnkey solution for every single pet owner. So I'll link that course as well, and be sure to check that out. I know the team there put a ton of effort and a ton of work into it to make it something actionable and usable for people across the industry. Now, if you like hearing the funding and the big dollar news, I've got a couple for you. First off, Innovative Pet Labs, which is an at-home health testing company, has announced the close of their $1.1 million pre-seed funding round. The round was led by Denmark-based Nordic Group, and additional participation came from Leap Venture Studios. The new capital is set out to help Innovative Pet Labs accelerate growth. They want to go more into retail distribution partners. They want to do more of their digital infrastructure and put more brand visibility out there. They're also really looking to try and bolster their outreach to pet parents, as well as increasing strategic partnerships within the industry. You know, they have an interesting spot here in the case that they're selling directly to the pet owners, but the medical side of things really does require a lot of buy-in and support from those that are doing the practice in industry. So a lot of really interesting things for Innovative Pet Labs. The thing that really stuck out to me here that was particularly interesting was Nordic Group. I dug a little bit more into Nordic Group, and they are obviously Denmark-based, but they're a very interesting company that focuses on human healthcare. They started as a company that owned their own labs, Nordic Labs, and they've grown to now have human medical clinics. They have investments in gene testing, direct-to-consumer testing, breast cancer screening technologies, and this is going to be their first investment into the animal health space. It's going to be neat to see how this company that scaled the labs within the Nordic region is going to be able to help this company in animal health scale and improve their operations across North America and, as they said in their press release, globally. One more big investment that happened, and I know $1.1 million is nothing to sneeze at, but Felix Pharmaceuticals, which is the Dublin-based generic animal pharma player, announced that they are going to be selling a significant minority stake in their company to Advent, which is a global private equity investor. That significant minority stake was valued at $175 million. Felix, if you're unaware of them, they manufacture and supply to distributors and other branded generic players for private labeling, particularly in the US. They've got 14 approved products by the US FDA and many more under review and development. They claim to have the widest portfolios of products in the industry. Advent as well has a pretty good reach for themselves. They've got offices across 5 different continents and over $91 billion of assets under management. It's pretty neat to see. Again, we're talking about massive players making huge investments into the animal health space. So very cool to see. I think this means that we're going to be seeing a lot more of these generic pharmaceuticals rolling in from Felix. And $175 million is a lot of capital to be able to accelerate what a business is doing. Finally, on the show, we've talked about a lot of the different companies that are popping up and growing in the animal health space on the food side of things. We talk all the time about pet care versus vet care and the things that we see on the nutritional side of especially dog food. Well, one of the biggest players in this new wave is the farmer's dog. One of the things that a lot of people talk about when they talk about companies like Farmer's Dog or Nom Nom or Ollie Chewy or any of the other variety of newer pet food companies that we see enter the space is the sort of differentiation or the separation from the sort of hands-on approach that we're seeing in clinic, because a lot of these are direct-to-consumer sales or order online and not sold through clinics. Well, the Farmer's Dog is making a big investment in sponsoring and supporting veterinary nutrition residencies at the University of Tennessee College of Veterinary Medicine. It's a 2-year program developed by the faculty at the University of Tennessee's College of Veterinary Medicine, meeting the standards for board eligibility. The sponsorship is designed to fully fund the training of selected resident in clinical nutrition and prepare them for board certification. Additionally to this sponsorship of a residency program, the other thing that Farmer's Dog recently did, just I think a couple weeks ago, they announced an additional $10 million investment into veterinary research and groundbreaking studies. So pretty interesting to see. I'm always one to be excited to see companies participating more in the education and growth and improvement of the industry. So kudos to Farmer's Dog for the work that they're doing there. I'm going to link the application if anyone listening is wanting to become a veterinary nutritionist. Now is the time. For more on these and other stories, join us by subscribing to our Substack. There's a link in the bio, and don't miss out on any episodes by subscribing and rating the show. For the Bird Bath, I'm Ryan Leach. See you next week.